Madre mia, madre mia, madre mia, madre mia. I don't even know where to start today, Maria, because I genuinely sat in front of my TV last night and watched Real Madrid lose to Osasuna, and I felt nothing, not anger, not sadness, just this hollow emptiness, like the club had reached inside my chest and taken something from me.
Welcome to Ruido Blanco, everyone, where today we are doing grief counseling, apparently. Rafa, pull yourself together, because the fans online are absolutely feral right now, and we have a lot to get through.
Okay, venga. Let's start with the one stat that one fan on Reddit put into words better than any journalist could. They wrote, and I'm quoting this directly, "You know what's unacceptable? Having 20 freaking crosses into the box and not a single player is in there." 20 crosses, Maria. 20.
That comment got hundreds of upvotes for a reason. It is the perfect encapsulation of what this team has been all season. A team that generates the actions of a dominant side without any of the outcomes. You can't cross into an empty box and expect goals. That's not football. That's just vibes.
And it's not like this was one bad half, Tio. This was the whole match. The whole season, actually. One fan described this Madrid as un tobogán de sensaciones contrapuestas, a roller coaster of contradictory feelings. And I think that's exactly it. We beat someone we should beat, and we feel great. Then we lose to Osasuna, and we feel like the world is ending. And both feelings are completely justified.
The word I keep seeing from fans is indecipherable, indecipherable. And that's genuinely the right word. This is a squad with world-class players who cannot consistently perform at a world-class level, and nobody seems to be able to explain why. That's the most maddening part.
Let's talk about Mbappé, because we have to. We always have to now, and not in a good way. One fan wrote, and this one stung, way too high a rating for Mbappé. He did nothing all night. And you know what? They're right. He was a ghost. An expensive, very fast ghost who contributed absolutely nothing.
Here's the thing that I think fans are starting to genuinely grapple with, and it's uncomfortable. Another comment said, and this is a direct quote, "I'm looking at the Manchester City game and seeing Haaland defend, and it makes me realize we made a big mistake getting Mbappé. That is a section of the fan base that was absolutely pro-signing 18 months ago, now openly using the word mistake."
Que barbaridad. And look, I defended Mbappé for a long time on this show. I said give him time, give him the system, give him the confidence. But there's another fan comment that I think really nails the structural problem, and it goes like this. Mbappé doesn't want to be a 9. He also doesn't want to be a winger. Mbappé wants to float around everywhere, get the ball at his feet, dribble past players, and score goals. And the problem is, when it's not working, all that floating means nobody is in the box.
That's the tactical reality of Mbappé in a nutshell, and it's why 20 crosses go to waste. You need a reference point, a body in the box, someone who is willing to do the unglamorous work of being there. Haaland does that. Benzema did that. Mbappé fundamentally does not want to do that, and right now, he isn't doing enough of the glamorous stuff to compensate.
And there's a really interesting wrinkle here that fans picked up on. Multiple people in the thread said he looked injured, that he shouldn't have started. And if that's true, then we have a whole other conversation about why a visibly unfit player is on the pitch for the full match while other options exist.
Which brings us very naturally to Arbeloa. Because one fan summed up the substitution situation with this absolute gem. Arbeloa would sub out Courtois before Mbappé. And honestly, based on the evidence, hard to argue with that.
I nearly fell off my chair when I read that. It's brutal, it's savage, and it's funny. But underneath the joke is a real, serious frustration, because fans are watching these matches and seeing things that the coaching staff seemingly cannot see or will not act on, and that is a crisis of confidence in the technical direction of this team.
Arbeloa said after the match, and this is a direct quote from his press conference, "If we don't play at our level." And I mean, yes, Alvaro, thank you for that insight. Truly groundbreaking analysis. The fans online were absolutely merciless about that press conference.
Because what does our level even mean at this point? What is this team's level? We still don't know after how many months? Tio, this is Castilla. This is Real Madrid Castilla losing to Osasuna, losing their unbeaten record in one of the few competitions they were still looking good in, and the manager comes out with a line that could have been generated by a football phrase machine.
And then there's the Trent Alexander-Arnold substitution situation that fans were furious about. One Reddit comment said, direct quote, Trent is good as long as there is Valverde to cover him defensively, and Arbeloa freaking took him out today. The tactical logic of removing the one player who was providing structure to compensate for your own defensive liability is creative, let's say.
Creative is a very generous word, Maria. I would use other words. And look, I want to be fair to Arbeloa because this is a tough job. He's young as a manager, but the fans are not patient people. We are not patient people. And when the decisions consistently look questionable, the confidence erodes fast. Hala Madrid, but also Theo, please make better substitutions.
Let's pivot to the one genuinely positive thread running through all of this, because it would be unfair not to acknowledge it. Vinicius. Even in a terrible performance, even in a loss, fans were pointing to Vinny as one of the few who showed up.
One fan wrote, and this gave me actual chills, the Fade and Vinny combo takes me back to the 2022 UCL final. And you know what? That's both beautiful and a little heartbreaking, because that UCL final was magic, and right now we're losing to Osasuna in the league.
The same fan who mentioned that also gave a fair breakdown of who played well: Carreras, Fede, Vini, and Tchouaméni, slightly below them, and then said, and I love the drama of this, all the others, shame on them, embarrassing. No names needed, apparently. Just vibes.
But that's the thing about Vinicius that I think deserves a real conversation. He is carrying this attack. He is the one who creates danger, who gets fans off their seats, who makes things happen when the collective is broken. And we keep asking him to do it while the team around him is either misfiring, injured, or ghosting.
And here's the uncomfortable comparison that some fans are making. Not many, but some. Vini has been the creative engine before, famously, but in 2022, he had Benzema as a partner who made intelligent runs, held the ball, linked play. Now he has Mbappé, who, on nights like last night, is just another body not getting into the box.
Madre mia, that comparison is going to make some people very angry in the comments, and I say, good, be angry, talk about it, because this is the real debate the fanbase needs to have. Is the Mbappé signing changing the dynamic around Vinicius, and not necessarily for the better?
There's also the injury situation piling up, which we can't ignore. Ceballos is now out with a muscle injury in his soleus, joining what is becoming a truly alarming injury list. And look, injuries happen in football, but the timing and the volume of them this season has been relentless.
And Ceballos, to his credit, and I don't say this lightly because I've been tough on him this season, he came out publicly and said, I take responsibility for his error. He put it on himself. That takes guts, Theo. In an era where players delete tweets and hide behind PR teams, that kind of public accountability is genuinely rare.
It is, and fans noticed. The reaction to his statement was actually softer than you'd expect, given how the performance was received. People can tell the difference between a player who cares and is struggling versus a player who simply doesn't give enough. Ceballos clearly cares.
Right, and now he's injured on top of it, which just adds to this sense that the universe is conspiring against this squad right now. There's even the Victor Munoz situation floating around, the young player from Castilla with the complicated buyback clause involving Osasuna, which, given we just lost to Osasuna, has a particularly dark irony to it today.
The football gods have a sense of humor. Osasuna holds 50% of his rights and controls his exit clause, and on the same night, their senior team goes and beats us. You genuinely couldn't write it. Or, well, I suppose someone could write it. They just wouldn't submit it because it would be rejected as too unrealistic.
Okay, so let's bring it home, because I want to ask you a genuine question. Maria, not a rhetorical one. When you read all of this fan sentiment today, the frustration, the Mbappé doubts, the Arbeloa questions, the Vini praise, all of it, what's your read on where this fan base actually is emotionally right now?
Genuinely. I think the fan base has moved past anger into something more concerning for the club, which is detachment. When you're angry, you still care intensely. When you start making jokes about Arbeloa subbing out Courtois, when you post, "We made a big mistake," about a signing you were thrilled about, that's not rage anymore, that's disillusionment.
And disillusionment is harder to come back from than anger, Theo. Anger burns hot and then cools. Disillusionment just sits there. It changes how you watch, how you feel before a match, whether you even get excited for the next one, and I don't want that for us. I don't want that for this fan base.
The headline on Marca said it all. They called it La Conjura de las 11 Finales, the conspiracy of 11 finals. 11 matches left to turn this around. And honestly, for the first time this season, I'm not sure the players and staff have convinced the fans that they have what it takes to win those 11 finals.
Which is the saddest sentence I've heard on this podcast in a long time. Because this is Real Madrid. This is the club that came back from everything. The club that made the impossible look routine. And right now, we're losing to Osasuna and generating 20 crosses into empty air.
But, and I say this as someone who does not do blind optimism, the players who showed up last night, Vini, Fade, Carreras, Tchouaméni, they showed that there is something there. There is a team in there somewhere. The question is whether the coaching decisions and the star players' form will allow it to emerge.
I want to believe that. I genuinely do, because I'm not ready for disillusionment. I'm still in the anger phase, and I'm staying here a little longer. Vamos, Madrid. Figure it out. Because the fans are watching, the fans are talking, and the fans deserve better than 20 crosses into an empty box.
That's it for today's Ruido Blanco. Drop your hottest takes in the comments. Are you still a Mbappé believer, or has last night genuinely changed your mind? We want to know. And if Arbeloa is somehow listening to this podcast, please, for the love of football, put a body in the box.
Hala Madrid, and I mean that sincerely, desperately, and with everything I have. We'll be back tomorrow. Try to get some sleep.